Are you thinking of buying a property in Southwest Florida? Southwest Florida in 2026 is one of the most exciting places to retire or relocate in the entire country. The weather, the lifestyle, and of course, the tax advantages. It's genuinely hard to beat, but here's what nobody talks about. And the reality is, without knowing any better, you could be costing yourself a lot of money, a lot of aggravation, and a lot of stress. And that's what I'm going to try and help you avoid. The market here has changed a lot in the last couple years. We have new insurance mandates. We have post-storm flips, legislative updates, and there's landmines in this market that were not here 5 years ago. And most buyers, especially those coming from out of state, have no idea what's walking towards them. I'm Angie Guillette, and I have a corporate leadership background and have personally relocated my family 15 times. So I understand what a move really costs you in every sense of the word. And what I've learned from doing this in Southwest Florida is that the difference between a great move and a costly one is almost never about the house itself. It's what you need to know before you make an offer. This is hard-earned advice that we've learned selling real estate in Southwest Florida the last 10 years. We help our clients avoid making these costly mistakes. And in this video, I am going to walk you through 5 types of homes that I would tell anyone to think twice about in Southwest Florida right now. What are the red flags to look out for? Why do they matter? And in 2026 specifically, and what do you do instead? Watching this video should go a very long way to help you avoid making these incredibly costly mistakes. First thing you gotta look out for is the SIRS-Deficit Condo. Some of the older condos, 25 years or older, that have not fully funded their structural integrity reserve study yet, you need to watch out for them. If you're buying from out of town, you probably don't even know what we're talking about. And you might be thinking that you're getting a deal on a coastal condo, or just looking to downsize. The grace period actually ended the end of last year. So before you fall in love with that view, we gotta make sure you're checking out the reserve study and doing the math. If it is not fully funded, then you are not buying a condo. You are buying a 6-figure possible special assessment that is waiting to happen. So a lot of buyers from outside our area don't even know about SIRS. And what is a SIRS? We had some new legislation passed that is now requiring a structural integrity reserve study. And again, the deadline was the end of 2025. So what does that mean? They're looking and they're having engineers come in and do a structural reserve of all of the buildings that are over 25 years old. And they're seeing if there are places where there's deficits. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're looking to buy in one of these condos, you want to make sure that first that the study has been complete. Again, it was due, so it should be at this point, but you also want to review it before you consider making an offer on the building. It is going to give you an entire report that talks about the age of life, what's left on all the different elements of the condo building. And in some cases, it actually has on the front page, it actually will tell you, it's got a red, yellow, and a green section on what is the status of this building in the opinion of the person who put together the report. Now, does this mean that people are not buying any properties in these buildings? Not necessarily, but what it does mean is that you need to take a really deep dive and look at what is coming and what is to be expected so that you can make an appropriate offer on that building. But the truth is those are having a little more trouble selling because until they get to the right number, people are going to kind of pass some of those by. It's real tough for some of those buildings. As time goes on, they're continuing to put things into place to get the properties into alignment with where they need to be. So it is going to work itself out eventually, but in the short term, some of these buildings, they're just in a tough spot, and that's just the truth. I was working with some buyers who were coming from Chicago, and they really liked the idea of having a downtown high-rise type of property, very walkable to all the restaurants and all the things. But we pulled the reports and I just had to share with them like, hey, this is the status. And this was already a couple years ago, so pretty early in the process. But as soon as you turned to page 2 of that, it actually said in red, high risk of assessments. So that is definitely something that you need to be aware of. And if you're looking at buildings that are within 3 miles of the beach, 25 years or older, definitely ask some questions about whether or not they've done their SIRS study. There also are reserve studies that are required with some of our new legislation. So both of those are important things for you to ask questions about and get that information before you decide to move forward on a property type like that. The next thing you need to have an awareness of is the Zone X flood insurance myth. So there are actually some homes that are in the low risk Zone X flood zone that assume that they don't have to have flood insurance. And in most cases, that is true. However, if you have a policy with Citizens Insurance, the 2026 mandate is in full force. And if your home replacement value crosses $400,000, then that flood insurance is actually required by law, zone or no zone. So you could call it a hidden paradise tax, but you need to factor this into your closing numbers so there are no surprises within 30 days after move-in. So again, this only applies to you if you have a policy with Citizens Insurance, which is they call our company of last resort here in Florida. But they have had a phase in for this process over the last few years, and they're going to continue to go through. So again, this year it's $400,000. Next year it will be for anyone. If you have a private insurance in Florida, you are not required to mandate flood coverage. Switching to a private insurer actually will remove this requirement entirely, and that was done intentionally. The legislature has used this mandate as a tool to try to push homeowners back into the private market and shrink Citizens because we had so many policies with our lender of last resort. Insurance has been real tough here since the last few hurricanes, and Citizens peaked at 1.4 million policies in October of 2023, highest number ever. But by the end of last year, they were down to 385,000, which is a 73% reduction. And this is a real positive thing for our insurance market here in Southwest Florida. Tons of policies were transferred to private carriers just last year alone with this legislation being passed. And the great news is we have 17 new insurance companies that have entered the Florida market since those reforms passed. And so while Citizen is still an insurance of last resort, it is no longer the largest insurance company here in Southwest Florida. That is huge for us. Will this carry over to other insurance holders? Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, but it does not look like it. The whole goal was to get more people off of the Citizens Insurance and with private insurers, and that seems to be working. The 73% reduction shows that. On a side note, we get asked all the time about flood insurance and if it is really needed if you're in a flood zone X. So we live in flood zone X. We still choose to have an optional flood policy. We have always carried one. A huge percentage of insurance claims here in Southwest Florida happen from fresh water. So we choose not to take the risk, and we go ahead on every home that we've owned. We have included an optional flood policy. They are pretty affordable considering if you look at the cost of the insurance versus how much you might have issues with if something were to happen and you were going to need it, because that's why we have it, so that we've got it there just in case we need it. All right, the next property type that you need to give consideration to, it's one of two things. It is either a friction heavy high rise or a gated community. These two can look good on paper, but they can quietly eat up hours of your day. What am I talking about? That's right. In a luxury high-rise tower, you got to think about the time you need to spend to wait for the elevator, get on the elevator, ride it up. So it is like lifestyle logistics. And in 2026, peak hour elevator wait times alone can be 10, 20 minutes extra on top of your grocery run. Now, the same can be said for some of the gated communities. So you need to understand, is there one way in or out, multiple gates, and then where is the property located within the community? Is it towards the front? Is it in the back? Because the reality is that could also add a significant amount of time to your commute. My mother-in-law lives in a community, and we always kind of will joke her and say, oh my gosh, once we get through the gate, we still have 12 minutes to get to your property. She has a lovely home all the way in the back. It's super quiet, has an amazing view, and it is perfect for her. But you have to know and you have to plan that from the guard gate, it's another 10, 12, possibly 15-minute drive depending on traffic within the neighborhood. And in our Southwest Florida area, it is definitely dependent on a car. So we do have a few more urban locations, Mercado, Coconut Point, where you can live in a condo and you can walk to a lot of stuff. But the reality is to get around the neighborhoods or to get around to restaurants, you are going to need a car. And at a minimum in a neighborhood, also, sometimes you're going to just get a golf cart because we like to cruise around in golf carts here. In places like Verdana Village, you can bring your golf cart up to happy hour at Legno. You can go get groceries at the Publix because it's right inside the community there. But you do have to know that walkability is definitely not our strongest suit here in the Fort Myers, Naples area. And when you're considering high-rise condos, when you're considering gated communities, you just need to think those things through. All right, the next home type you got to consider is the noise corridor that nobody is talking about, the PBN reality. So some of our homes in Estero, South Fort Myers, they sit directly under the FAA's newer, tighter satellite flight paths for RSW International Airport. One of the things we love about these areas is how convenient they are to the airport. But if you are a buyer who is looking for peace and quiet, then you're not going to be able to see pictures. You're not going to necessarily know that they are under the flight path. Our flight paths are more concentrated than ever. So there could be a couple streets in the same neighborhood and one is right under the flight path and the other isn't. So you just got to have a noise check. We can do drive-throughs, the neighborhood, just to double check things for you if you are someone who is really sensitive to the sound. The reality is every client is different. Some people have more tolerance for sound than others. Some people, they might be used to airplane traffic depending on where they're coming from, or maybe they live in a city where they have a lot of noise already. But it is definitely something that you need to have an awareness of. There are certain neighborhoods and communities that have more impact from this than others due to the flight path that is taken. I was talking through a wish list with a buyer just recently. One of the neighborhoods I brought out, he immediately ruled it out. He said, nope, I looked it up. I looked up the FAA, the RSW website, and it is too close to the flight path, and I'm just not interested in that. So it's another thing that you definitely want to bring up in conversation when you're working with your agent, and only you can understand or know what your tolerance level might be. But there are resources available that can show you the flight patterns. The image that we put up just kind of gives you a ballpark so that you know what you're checking out, and if we need to take a deeper dive and do any kind of sound checks on some of those communities. If you're looking at homes that are a post-storm flip, or if they're in a location where they might have been impacted by the storm and they look brand new, you gotta have some concern and make sure that you're double checking were permits done when this work was completed. We do have pockets of areas that were pretty hard hit with some of our storms over the last handful of years. And we are starting to see renovated homes that are coming back on the market. They're beautiful, they're move-in ready, but do they have unpermitted work? Are they missing some water resistance? Is everything done correctly? So for people who are looking to get in on the beach or a location that maybe has Gulf access and don't want to have to deal with construction or delays, we have got to make sure that we are doing the legwork up front. So we want to look at the history before the inspector even shows up and see what the status is of that home. So we are really seeing a lot of this done on Fort Myers Beach. It is vitally important to get the information on the work that was completed, who completed the work, and then we also have another important impact that we need to be aware of within the flood zone, and that is the FEMA 50% rule, which needs to be considered. If a home is in a flood zone that sustained damage equal to or exceeding 50% of its pre-damage market value, the entire structure must be elevated to current floodplain standards. So we're now talking about a rebuild, not a repair. And this rule is cumulative, so meaning the permanent improvements over time all count towards that 50% threshold. It is causing a lot of challenges with some property owners who have been flooded more than once. Now, I promised you a bonus tip, but before we get there, I just want to state, it does not mean that you should not be considering a property that has been recently renovated after one of the storms. It just means that we need to do a little extra due diligence up front to make sure that you are going in with your eyes wide open. But if the property, if the finishes, if the price, if it all looks too good to be true for the location, don't be blind to the red flag. There is likely something more that needs to be considered and flushed out. All right. You made it. We're here at the bonus tip. Our bonus tip is all about the cookie cutter trap. Yes, we live in Southwest Florida where we have a lot of planned communities. And I promised you a bonus tip so we can be talking to you about all kinds of things that you need to be aware of when you're looking to buy here in Southwest Florida. And one of those things, if you are looking to buy in one of our master plan communities, you got to beware of the cookie cutter trap. So what is it? It's the homes that look exactly like all the others in the same neighborhood. No view, no lot features, nothing that stands out. So what's the trouble here? Well, it's when the market shifts. The commodity house is always the first to drop. So we work hard to help our clients spot standout assets. So where are the properties that have something that's genuinely unique, that can hold a premium even if our inventory rises? In a compressed 2026 market, that difference matters a lot. So picture this. There are 5 of the same floor plan on the market at the same time in the same community, and they all look exactly the same. This can happen with some of our builders here who are more production builders, and they do not vary the structural changes. They don't vary the product where they are in. They literally look exactly the same. So if somebody doesn't come in and make any kind of improvements inside, then you literally have the exact same house for sale. So if they look exactly the same, there's only one thing left to compete on. And that's price. And that's not an easy situation to win. So sellers, when we're talking about strategy about listing your home, if you can stand out, then you no longer become a commodity and you can attract a broader pool of potential buyers, including people who are willing to pay extra what you have because it stands out. So what kind of improvements can you do to help stand out? Higher quality finishes, trim work, custom pool and spa, upgraded appliances. If you've got customizations and improvements that help your property stand out, it will really benefit you when it's time to come sell, especially when the market is shifting and there's more inventory available. So listen, if you decide to go with one of those homes with the track builder route, no problem. But what we're going to always advise is that you try and make it stand out so that you can appeal to the broader market. In fact, that is what a lot of people do here. They'll come in, they're going to put in a backsplash, they're going to put in some feature walls, they're going to paint, they're going to do things to make their home stand out. So if you want our help, not just avoiding these issues, but helping you purchase a home in Southwest Florida, if you're thinking of moving here, or even if you already live here, our team has helped hundreds of families over the last 10 years, and we can help you and your family find not just the right home, but the right lifestyle that you're looking for. You can find all of our contact information on the screen below, and be sure and reach out anytime. We release new videos every week about moving to and living in Southwest Florida, and there's lots of options for you to check out, but definitely, you should check out the video on Miramar Lakes Beach Club and see what luxury resort style living is all about and see if it's for you.